Objection to proposal.
Yeah.
I might have it here.
Yeah, just
Oh, I've got it.
welcome everyone to the Township Committee of Adjustment meeting. We were delayed by an earlier presenter, so we'll just take another minute or two and we'll have everything in place. You got it. I don't know if Paul. Okay, good. Good evening, Paul. Sorry for the delay. It was a positive learning experience. So again, I think we're settled, and John Paul sent all this information out earlier, so we'll continue with the Committee of Adjustment agenda Tuesday, November 16th, but we'll say 6:18 instead of 6 p.m. First of all, I ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll move on to number 2, to adopt the minutes of the meeting held October 19th. I need a mover and seconder, Councillor Moore, Councillor Marchant. Thank you. So it's number COAR 2021-20. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Marchant, that we adopt the Committee of Adjustment minutes of October 19th, 2021. All in favor? Against? Carried. So we move on to number 3, consent application. And I'll read it. It's number 3 is COAR 2021-21. It's a consent application for applicant Douglas Stiller and Lorraine Hogan. And it proposes to create one new lot on the subject property to be used for residential use. And I think you are all got a breakdown of it. This is the one where it is a, what is it, John Paul, one?
Yeah, this one on Highway 534.
Yep.
It's a 1.04. The highway there. Close to a piece of kitchen.
Yep.
The one that's right next door, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right behind the rock cut. The severed lot is larger than the minimum requirement. It has the frontage on the highway. So unless you have any questions for John Paul about this one, there were no objections to this. So if you have any questions for John Paul.
Yeah, with the normal size houses, there's still enough room each way because of being a triangle
Isn't that
with the setback from the highway?
Yes.
Is it?
Okay, I didn't get my ruler out. That's
Well,
all.
with the setbacks,
Yeah.
you need 15 meters from the front, 6 meters from the side.
Okay, on the highway, there's no difference.
MTO permit control is 45 meters, but they gave MTO put in a certificate saying it's okay that they do this lot, so they did get it reviewed at our MTO.
Yeah, okay, I just wondered because of the triangle,
Yeah,
we could narrow things in.
And the
get a
side setbacks are fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you give it as-
setbacks were fine in MTO, and that's why this was delayed. They were waiting for the MTO to come back to us, and they've done that now. Are there any other questions?
Not for me.
You step in downstairs. Okay, so I'll ask for a mover and a seconder on this one, and then we can vote. Okay, I'll go with Paul France. and Councillor Moore. So it's number COAR 2021-21, moved by Paul LaFrance, seconded by Councillor Moore. Application C 2021-08, applicant Douglas Stiller and Lorraine Hogan. The decision, the consent application proposes to create one new lot on the subject property to be used for residential use. The Township of Nipissing Committee of Adjustment approves consent application by providing provisional consent subject to the following conditions. The conditions are: A, a copy of the reference plan to be deposited in the land registry office that is substantially in compliance with the application sketch. B, the original executed transfers, the deeds, both duplicate and originals, and one copy per consent. C, a schedule describing both lots and naming the applicable grantor and grantee attached to the transfers for approval purposes. D, entrance permits or appropriate approvals from the Ministry of Transportation. E, written confirmation that sufficient capacity exists for treatment capacity for hauled sewage to the satisfaction of the township. And F, a certificate in the appropriate form prescribed in OREG 197-96, Schedule 1, for signature of the Township of Nipissing Committee of Adjustment official, secretary, treasurer, or chairperson. And G, risk assessment be prepared, and this would be for whoever purchased, be prepared that identifies mitigation measures to ensure compliance to the Wildland Fire Risk Assessment and Mitigation Reference Manual. So that's in the fire zone. Okay, and these are all that the applicant provides. So are there any comments or questions? In which case I will put it for a vote. All in favor? Carried, against, none. Okay. Next one, number 4. And this is applicant, property owners, Douglas Stiller and Lorraine Hogan, to grant the requested variance as per attached sketch prepared by Miller and Urso Surveying. And what we're looking at is a minimum setback of 17.44 meters from the water's edge to a proposed 2-story dwelling and covered porch, whereas a setback of 30 meters is required. Now, I think everybody received, there was an objection, and everybody's received the objection. And I'm not sure who, if any, went out to look at the property. I did, and with respect to the objection, this property is not a new build. There's a cottage there already, and if you look, the new build is moving back from 14 to 17 meters, I believe.
Removing the deck.
Yes, so removing the deck, and the new building will be farther back than the building that's there at this time. So existing building, but the volume is increasing. Removing the existing deck. If you look at this, all the buildings in that particular area, consistently, they're the same distance from the water. They're all from 59 to 65 feet back. And while other lots in the area are totally cleared, the lot in question here has retained a tree line in front of it. And and vegetation, but a tree line at the water's edge that hasn't been disturbed, which will prevent some runoff. And the other thing that my comment is, when we look at these, we all know, and we've been told before, the rule is 100 feet from the water. But where we are on Nipissing, for example, there's not a building that's 100 feet from the water because of the lot, because of the terrain, whatever. And in this case, I always suggest the buildings don't cause pollution, and I'm looking at blue-green algae in Ruth Lake. The building doesn't cause it. What it is poor septics. And in this case, the septic will be 100 feet from the water, and it will be a new septic, which will be replacing a septic that was probably built with the original cottage in the 1950s.
Well, I noticed that this says they are removing an outhouse that was,
Right beside the cottage.
so that right there is an improvement. And yeah, the septic bed is 30 meters. So, or in excess of 30 meters or just 30 meters?
In excess.
In excess of 30 meters. Oh yeah, it's quite a bit back from 30 meters. So I really not seeing an issue there.
Does anybody else have a question to John Paul? I mean, I was there, but perhaps John Paul could answer if,
The whole existing cottage is being removed.
Yes.
Is there any obstructions why it can't be moved back to new place? Like a clip or?
no, nothing as far as the property.
Because it
the
is
only-
going, is there any problems with the septic bed being moved back if the house was?
Well, the septic bed already meets the
No,
standard.
but if they moved the house back, could the septic bed be moved back to appropriate distance from the house?
Seems to be lots of room, yes. There's that no doubt is their preferred site for whatever reason,
Is it,
but there's lots of room on that lot.
is it potential that it's an existing foundation that they're going to be using?
Doesn't seem so.
No, I think they want to go with the same view they've had since 1950, but,
Yeah, that's probably, it's
you know,
probably more emotional than anything else.
I would think so.
Their preferred site by the looks of it, yes.
Pardon?
Their
Yes.
preferred site.
Yeah,
I don't even
Makes
know if there was an original septic, is there?
we don't know.
No.
If you have an outhouse,
Yeah.
the odds are, if they're putting in a septic, they're going above and beyond. Because if they had running water, where was it going before?
There was none?
No, no septic.
Just the outhouse.
Okay, so we are going to a modern septic system. The location of the building itself, as long as it's not in the floodplain.
That's high.
Yeah, well, yeah, it tends to be around. I'm not having an issue, a setback issue.
I have a bit of a one, because, you know, if we start allowing places to contravene for no reason, I could see if there was a cliff or a swamp or something, when it's a new structure and the old one's being dismantled completely, why can't it fit in with the rules that we have?
Well, I think when we look at this, that's the reason why we have a committee of adjustment. If we say everything is 100 feet back, then we don't need to have this committee.
No, but then why do we have to have a rule that says 100 feet then?
Because that's the rule that we brought in, because that is as far as septic and effluent should be away from the water.
Well, then that's the reason why the house should be back for this.
But again, my contention is houses don't pollute, septic beds do. And if we want to do that, then we have to look, what I'm looking at is every other place there is approximately the same distance from the water. So it's,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah, But two wrongs don't make a right, I'm sorry.
If, to me, if they were building and they were moving it, no. But they're building on the same footprint, not,
Yeah, that's a footprint that's been there since what, 1955, did you say?
50.
19, that's a footprint that's been there since 1950. I would argue that they're disturbing a lot less land by building on the same footprint.
Well, same footprint, I mean, the old footprint only represents 20% of the new.
Yes, and the new footprint is actually somewhat behind the old one. So it's actually further away from the lake than the,
But it's
In part, yeah.
also 3 times bigger. 4 times bigger.
bigger.
My only concern is that, once if we keep going with this, we've been setting precedents after precedents of allowing places closer to the water than our official plan shows. And we have an official plan that states a certain distance, and we keep contravening that official plan.
Well, also the official plan puts in place measures that protect the environment with distance. If the environment isn't going to be negatively impacted by something that's closer,
Yeah, but
that's why we sit here to make that decision.
But that rule was put in, or the distance was put in the official plan to protect.
To protect the environment, exactly. But if this isn't going to harm the environment by putting it on roughly the same footprint, but back a little bit from the original.
I just hate
Yeah,
seeing us take in, contravene the official plan time after time. When it's in, the rules are there, the setback is there. If it was going to be reconstructing or something, I have no problem on that footprint. But when it's a brand new place, I think it's time that we should start looking at our official plan for the setbacks.
What if there was a cliff there,
Then that would be a reason they could move it.
but it's still not according to our official plan?
No, but then that's where the committee of adjustment comes in, because that's their,
Or we're looking at, not disturbing vegetation or something like that?
is there vegetation behind the existing house? It shows a parking area.
Yes, there is some. There's also bedrock is part of the reason why we want to keep it where it is, because it raises above what would bring the house up higher than we would like it.
So there is bedrock, because it doesn't show that on the plan from Miller. It's too bad they hadn't indicated that.
I didn't know that would be part of it.
They've just done an above ground survey.
Yeah,
Well, we've had ones where they've shown, maybe not here, this one, but the planning board, we had ones that they showed the outcropping and the rise of land. Maybe in the future would help if we had a satellite imagery along with it.
Yeah, and with the satellite, this isn't an outcrop, this is at just below surface. So on the satellite, it would still show grass, that kind of thing.
All the property around that lake is either outcropping or just barely below surface. If you're familiar with around the whole lake, everything is up like this. And you can't drive a shovel into the ground in very few places, very many places without hitting rock. So
But then that's even, well, I guess it'll be up to Mattawa Conservation Authority to decide on the septic bed if there's a slope like that.
Yeah, that,
and we have septic approval.
Have the septic approval in this location?
Yes,
I'm going to I'm gonna call for a vote and we'll go from there. And again, I know that that's what our our guidelines are. And we just, I guess, vote with your conscience, whatever,
Well, I'm going to vote for the fact that the septic is back.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the cottage, although it's bigger, it is consistent with other cottage distance from the water's edge in the area, so I'm going to vote for it. And those are my reasons.
I will ask for a mover and seconder. Councillor Kirby. And the seconder, Councillor Scott. And then we will vote. It's number COAR 2021-22, moved by Councillor Kirby, seconded by Councillor Scott. Applicant, property owners Douglas Stiller and Lorraine Hogan, decision to grant the requested variance as per attached sketch prepared by Miller and Urso Surveying Incorporated, received September 21st, 2021. A minimum setback of 17.44 meters from the water's edge to a proposed two-story dwelling and covered porch, whereas a setback of 30 meters is required. Conditions that the applicant obtains all necessary permits for the work referenced in this application, and vote. All in favor?
I'll go with that septic approved.
Okay. And against? Noted. To the front. And again, definitely subject to septic approval. So that is carried. And John Paul will circulate that information. Okay, give them their instructions.
It's the last day for appealing the decision is December 6th, so you can't get your building permit. You have to wait to see if any place appeal the decision. So
Did you hear that?
Can't get a building permit till December 6th?
Yeah, the last date for appealing this decision is December the 6th.
Oh, okay.
The 20.
Somebody else can still appeal it, you mean?
Anybody can.
Can we ask what the concern was of whoever complained?
Oh,
The concern was just that you weren't 100 feet from the water.
Okay.
Okay, so the appeal period, and then you can get your building permit after that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for coming in tonight or coming on. And for the rest of us, I need a mover and a seconder to adjourn this meeting so we can start our next meeting. Councillor Scott and Councillor Moore. So it's number COAR 2021-23, moved by Councillor Scott, seconded by Councillor Moore, that the Committee of Adjustment meeting be adjourned at 6:42 PM. All in favor? Carried. Against? No one. And Paul, I apologize for delaying